On this episode of Delivering Marketing Joy, I get the chance to talk with Jimmy Visney, who escaped for a year in an RV and still did business. Hey there, and welcome to another edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. I'm your host, Kirby Hausman, and joining me today is a good buddy of mine. We went on an adventure together a while back. Jimmy Visney, who is, his technical title is VP of Sales, but from RLK Associates, but I love his title that he has, which is VP of Putting Your Logo on Stuff. Jimmy, thanks for joining me, man.
Right. Hey, man, thanks for having me, Kirby. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you. So I wanted to dig into something I know about you. You took a year and traveled with your family in an RV. What made you decide to do that, and how did that go?
Man, I think like everyone else, you get kind of sick of the rat race. You get going in one mode, and you kind of get stuck there, and you're like, what's the point of all of it? What are we chasing after? What's our goal? Mm-hmm. And I think at the end of the day, we just decided that, hey, we want to do something different. We want to do something kind of fun and crazy and spontaneous. And, we kicked around those what if questions. What if we built a container home? Or what if we, downsized and just traveled more? What if we, and this was one of my favorites, what if we moved to Costa Rica and opened up a bed and breakfast?
I like that.
And then we were like, what if we bought an RV and lived out of that for a year and traveled around? And, after a while of kicking those what ifs around, we kind of honed in on that man, we could probably do that. We could probably get an RV. We could probably travel. We have a lot of flexibility with our job. My wife and I are both in promotional sales, and we work from home. So it was just a matter of trying to work out the logistics. And gosh, once we narrowed it down to that, then it became really, really real. And we said, what does this look like? We started kind of technically planning it out. And then, it just snowballed. And then once you tell someone what you're potentially going to do, now you're held accountable. Now they're like, well, are you going to do it? So we were no turn back at that point. So we dove right in and we did it, and it was amazing. It was an amazing experience.
Right.
Yeah.
So the thing that I always think of is it must have been challenging to travel like that and then still run your business. So how did you manage it all? Did you struggle to service clients? How did that piece of it go?
I've been in the industry about 14 years, and there's been so many changes. When I first started out, there was a lot of face-to-face time. There was a lot of me, driving to and from customers, offices, dropping off stacks of catalogs, maybe even hanging out with them and looking through some catalogs together. And, they wanted me around a lot, and then, fast forward a few years and, it's more phone calls, and then fast forward a few more years. And I do about 95% of my business on email today. I rarely talk to people on the phone anymore. Maybe I should sometimes reach out more, but, that's just my style of sales, I guess. I'm kind of hands off, but, I service the heck out of people. So, the biggest challenge then for me was connectivity. How do I stay connected as far as, internet goes? Because, we hit 35 different states and one network doesn't do it for you. So we had to get a second, we got a Verizon Jetpack for additional data and connectivity. And, we had an unlimited plan through Sprint. So it was really about chasing that Wi-Fi signal. We got a big old amplifier on top of our 40-foot RV, and that would pick up Wi-Fi signal. And so as long as I had that connection, I felt secure and safe that I could reach out to my customers and they could reach out to me. I could, do whatever I needed to do to service the heck out of them. And, before I left town, my biggest customer, I took him out to lunch, and I brought my support person with me, and I sat him down and I said, look, this is what we're doing. I don't want you to be nervous. We're still going to take care of you. We've got your back. And they just kind of looked at me and they're like, oh my gosh, we're so jealous. Send us pictures, please, update your Facebooks and Instagram and all that stuff. And we want to follow you. And I'm like, all right, I'm so glad you're on board, because, it could have gone the other way. It could have been like, we really need a local person here with us, even though I knew they didn't. But yeah, I was able to kind of calmed them down, and they were totally cool with it and on board. And but out there on the road, there were 2 different times where I had to fly back to St. Louis, but they were pretty much pre-planned. I knew my customer had a big show that they wanted me to attend. So we just kind of built those detours into our route, so I knew well in advance that I had to be at this state and this airport on this day. So we just planned our route accordingly and made it happen. So.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I am not surprised that people were intrigued by it, right? Because I am, right? Like it's just a cool thing. So what were your biggest takeaways from the experience? And I get, like my $10 million question is, will you do it again?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. In a word, yes, absolutely. We'll definitely do it again. I don't know what it looks like the next time, but I mean, my wife is on me almost daily. She just the other day, she sent me a link to another RV. We ended up selling our old one. It was a big 40-footer, a 2008, and it was time for it to go. So, but she sends me links to RVs continuously, and she wants to do it again. And we're definitely going to do it again. We just got to work out the logistics. Our boys are going to be going back into we homeschooled them for a year, which is one of the reasons we were able to do what we did. They are going to go back to a more traditional setting next year. And so that takes away the year-long part of it, at least for next year. So maybe it's another year after that. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But takeaways, gosh, there's so many lessons.
Yeah.
From my standpoint, patience was a big thing. I'm the kind of guy that gets up in the morning, or at least was, and I go throughout my day, and I want to get back in bed with as few obstacles as possible. And if something jumps in my way, and it can derail me, it could really throw me off my game. And sometimes I let that get to me, and it'll just eat away at me, and it can ruin my day. And then I'll let it ruin my kid's day, and I'll let it ruin my wife's day, and I'll stew on things like that. And anyone that's ever owned an RV or in some cases boats would know that those things are the most trying, patience builders, money pits that you could ever be involved with. And this thing tested me on the daily, just, from broken water pipes to leaking natural gas tanks to, air brakes going out to, backing over a stump and Oregon and causing like $14,000 in fiberglass damage. It's just crazy things. And I remember. I mean, the first few weeks on the road, these things were happening. I'm just like, I wanted to just tear my hair out and cry and crawl under a tree. But I knew I had to keep going. And so those first few weeks were rough. But then I just started to slowly learn that, you just got to roll with it, man. You just got to be patient, take it as it comes. Don't sweat it. It's, we're here together as a family. What's the worst that can happen? We're here together. It's amazing. Enjoy it while you got it.
Wow.
And so, by the time the leaking natural gas tanks under our RV came around, Amy and I were just safely 30 yards away in our car, laughing hysterically as the fire department came and unhooked our tanks and cleared the area and make sure there was no explosion. So, it was a milestone for me anyway. But one real quick, one of the other things that we really latched onto, and Amy, brought this up early on, was there was a quote that she kept repeating. It was life begins where your comfort zone ends. And man, that wasn't the theme of our entire trip. I don't know what is, because that was huge for us. None of this was in our comfort zone. We'd never owned an RV. We're not big campers. We don't know the thing about these things. We never driven them before, and we dove into a 40-footer and towing behind that a tow car and, learning all the systems and stuff. And we were out of our comfort zone daily.
Wow.
And that's truly where life for us began. It's like, throughout it all these obstacles and all these challenges and all these new, explorations, we were there together, as a team fighting through it. So it's pretty spectacular. 35 states, 14 national parks, and, of course, my favorite, 102 breweries. So I made it happen.
Dude, thank you so much. I think it's such an interesting story, and I felt like this would be a good one for DMJ here. So thank you for taking the time. You've answered my 3 questions. I give everybody a chance to ask me one question. Do you have one for me?
Yeah, absolutely. I just mentioned beer, so of course I'm a big beer nerd, and I know you own a brewery, and that's on my to do list. And so
Okay.
we'll be swinging through town to come visit yours. But so I'm up to 125 and counting,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that I would love to one day potentially own my own. I don't know what that looks like or how it'll ever work out, but maybe we'll give it a shot one day. So,
Yeah.
having said that, what's the one thing that you wish you would have known before opening the doors of yours?
That's a super good question. I wish I'd have asked it, right? So I would say, and I actually heard someone else say this, and you have been in business, I've been in business, and I didn't believe them, is that everything is going to cost about 5 times more than you think it's going to cost. And I don't even mean that as a trite way. We're doing it on the down low. We're doing a 1-barrel system, which is really small, with the idea that it would be low cost. And in the grand scheme of things, it is. But there are inspections that you don't think of, and everything takes a little longer than you think of when it comes to the licensing piece. So everything's going to cost a little more, and everything's going to take a little longer. You talked about patience, and that taught you patience. This, I'm not sure it taught me patience because I'm still struggling with that. But man, was it ever, like, I literally, I joked that when they said, well, gosh, once you get your federal license, the state's really quick. It's like a rubber stamp. Well, I got my federal approval in late February. I opened essentially in September. So I don't know how rubber stamps feel for you, but they generally don't take that long in my life. And so everything will take longer. Everything will cost more. That being said, it's a fun business to be in, and
Such a cool industry, yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. And the other thing I love about it, and you and I have talked about this, but it's worth mentioning, is the craft beer industry really works together. People are willing to help each other. I've had tons of help from other breweries, and that's been super rewarding. And so that's on the good side. Fair?
That's fantastic. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for taking the time, Jimmy. We'll have to do it again sometime. And
please do.
Yeah, that's going to wrap up this edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. We'll see you next time.